Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the furnace on. I've got the bell mold put in place. I don't know if it's going to come out perfect, because when I was trying to put the cope on, it almost seemed like it might have touched something. But the surface of the inside of the mold cavity is hard, so maybe it didn't do anything bad, maybe it did, I don't know. But when it comes time, I'll turn on the camera here and let you watch me pour it, and then we will wait a little while, let it solidify, let it cool down just a bit, and then I'll break it open. Okay, we'll see in a little bit. Okay, it's hot. It's 1400 degrees, which is where I wanted it to be. So I'm going to kill the furnace and pour the metal, and we'll see what happens. Okay, well, that poured nicely. Didn't short pour or anything, as far as I know. If anything, if it short poured, meaning that it didn't fill in all the mold cavity, it would have stopped. I would have stopped. It would have gone down again, and I would have had to play catch up, keeping the gating system pressurized. But didn't do that, and that system of pouring into the reservoir and then allowing it to go into the sprue worked great. I'm probably going to, despite the fact I never did it that way for 20 years in the Navy, that is an improvement over what we used to do in the Navy. All right. Especially it would be an improvement if you poured brass or bronze, because it would minimize the turbulence going down a lot. Okay, so I'm going to let this cool down for a while and make sure that it's solidified. Then I'll bring you guys back. See you in a bit. See, now what I did out here, all this is just regular old cement. It can absorb a lot of moisture from rain and condensation, or rather rain and any moisture that might be in the air, humidity and so forth. So what I did is I got a tray, aluminum tray, that would add a little bit of a catch basin if this ever went and leaked, which thankfully it didn't even show any indications of leaking. and it would be captured in here. Now what it's sitting on is a welding blanket. So, and it's like 3 or 4 thicknesses worth of welding blanket, and it, you know, that's plenty of insulation against touching the either the aluminum tray or the cement. That certainly would go boom if molten metal was on top of it, causing a steam explosion. So that's what this is about. Now, let's say we open this thing up and see if I have to do everything all over again because of me hitting the green sand core as I was putting it down. Well, I had it hot enough, but it didn't pour all the way. As you can see, everything here poured except for that area where the sand didn't darken. And who knows? Just goes to prove I'll have to do it all over again. Most of it poured. It was 1500 degrees, so it was plenty warm. Could have been that I should have superheated it, because it is a kind of a thin wall. You get a hammer. Very disappointing, but that's the game in the foundry trade. Well, I didn't pour it so wrong as I misjudged how thin the bell was. I don't see any indication where I might have hit the side of the mold, and it's all the same thinness. So I think from now on I'm going to have to do it that way, pour in through the top and let it flow that way. Might work then. I mean, the stuff was 1500 degrees, for crying out loud. Or no, it was closer to 1450, 1400. So I wasn't very alarmed at the temperature. But such is life in the molder trade. You ask anybody who's done this for any length of time, and you'll see that they've had enough problems crop up when they're trying to pour. it ran all into it. It's not like it froze up in here or in the end gates or anything like that. There was plenty. It just froze up in here. That must have been, sorry, but get you dizzy. It must have been one of those where they pressed the brass into shape rather than pour it over in India. So I'll go ahead and clean up everything and get this sad excuse for a video online so you can see how it came out and what the story was on it. We'll get it. I just won't pour it that way anymore. And if I do, I'm gonna really thicken up the inside. Like put some wax plate on the inside and melt it. I don't know. Okay, so better luck next time. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I would have liked to have been able to show a nice little bell. It was just too thin, thinner than I anticipated. So we'll see you next time. And all of those who are working right now, hope you go on Liberty Call pretty soon. And well, welcome to little house in the foundry. Ha! That would be funny. All right, see you later. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Okay, I'll let this cool down enough. I noticed when reviewing my other parts of the video that I never let you see what it looked like down in here. So, bringing you back out. See if I can put you, I think you're aimed okay. Looks like it. All right. Now, examining the two sides, this side filled up fine. Had that cross section opening feeding into that. Doesn't look like it washed anywhere here. And here's a difference. See how small that is compared to that? That's where I went wrong. This poured fine because of the larger area of contact. This did not because of the smaller area of the contact. It was plenty hot, that's for sure. It was just my not paying attention, and worse, making the assumption that the thickness that this was going to be was big enough for hot aluminum to go through. I didn't measure it and examine it closely, and there's the results. Okay, now some of you, or at least one that I recall, didn't think that a bell, you could make aluminum bell, that it might not sound good. Well, listen to this. Still has good noise, despite the huge gaping gap here, which has a good tendency to deaden the sound. So, but you can see that if this was done correctly, it would have had a good noise or a good tone. Anyway, you live and learn, and even people who have been in the trade long as I have are apt to goof up. And as I've always said, the only time you stop learning is when somebody has planted you in the ground. Okay? So double check your thickness of your bell. Make it, heck, I don't even know how thick this is. This is almost like, it's almost like the thickness of a piece of paper. That's how thin it is. Everything else went just fine. So you can copy what I did up to the point. If you've got a thin bell, make your end gates larger so they'll fill in everything before they freeze up. Or make multiple. This one I could have had 3 or 4 going in here to help fill it up, if I'd only thought about how thick this wall was going to be. Oh well. We'll make a good bell next time. See you later.